Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Cow's Den podcast. I am Josh, and with me today is Matt. What's up, Matt?
Hola.
We are short our other host, Brian,
He's
and
got
he's having
herpes.
some some personal issues today, so he's going to be
Herpes
absent
flare up.
today. So
Herpes flare up. Herpes flare up.
so this we might run a little shorter on this episode. I don't know if we end up talking in for long enough, we'll run a whole episode. But as of now, we are short one guy. But as usual, we talk comics and nerdy stuff, pop culture. Today we are not going to have Brian, so we're not really going to have the fringe science aspect of it. So it's just, fortunately, you're stuck with just the two of us. So but we got some cool stuff today. I'm gonna be, I'm actually go ahead and start it off. I've been still reading. I've been so hooked on Invincible lately. I cannot stop reading this comic. I'm so mad at myself for never reading it back when it first came out. I'm up to issue 118 now. There's 144 issues in the series. I'm up to issue 118, and my God, it just gets better and better with every issue. It's the type of thing where I seriously felt like it was gonna start dipping, maybe like start dipping in quality, but God, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And if the show, so far, the show on Amazon, which if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Oh, yeah, that too. I'm probably going to talk spoilers in this episode. So if you haven't watched the show, I've kind of, episode 4, I think it was, I started talking about Invincible, maybe 5. I don't know, but I started talking about Invincible and I did kind of spoil one of the things. And I didn't realize that it's something they're building towards for this whole first season. Like, spoiler alert, the season finale is what I was talking about. So if you listen to the previous episode where I talk about Invincible, just be careful because I totally spoiled the ending of the first season. That being said, the show seems like it's following the story, but at the same time, because they wanted to extend out the big event that's going to happen at the end of the season, they've kind of gone out of order a little bit. There's some things happening right now that aren't really supposed to happen until after the event that's going to be at the season. So it's a little out of order, but realistically, the show is doing great at following the story. Just taking it a little bit out of order, but it's like everything that's supposed to be happening is still happening. But man, if the show ends up being half as good as the comic, you guys are entirely in for a treat because the comic is just phenomenal. It's just fantastic. It gets, of course, it gets bloody, it gets gruesome. Which, if you watch the show, keep that in mind. Not for kids. Um, but it's so, like, I don't want to say real because obviously it's not real. There's superhero aspect to it, but it's so, like, grounded. I guess there's so many, like, it's just that constant struggle that Mark has, which is Invincible Mark Grayson, that he has between what is right and what is right for the
Family.
world versus what is right for him, like what he should be doing for himself versus what he should be doing for the world. Um, and there's times where he struggles back and forth. There's times where, but God, there's times where there are fights and wars that are galactic level wars. Like, they don't just, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Earth is still the main focus of it, but I want to say there's a point where he spends 10 to 12 issues on a different planet. He's not even on Earth. Um it's just, God, I could talk about Invincible forever. It's so good. I can't get over it enough. If you have not read the comic, check it out. It is incredible. It's great. Um, and definitely watch the show on Amazon because it's doing well. It's sticking to the storyline. Yeah, that's kind of all I have for Invincible. The other thing I was wanting to talk about, Matt, have you watched the show? I mean, you've watched the show, right? You've watched the first
Oh,
at least couple
absolutely.
episodes.
Absolutely.
Um,
I'm on episode 4.
episode 4. Okay, so episode
I've
5.
watched.
Small spoiler for episode 5.
Yeah.
We get our first appearance of Battle Beast, who is probably my favorite character in the series, and oh, the way he comes in is so great. um, do you liking it so far though? You like the show?
I'm loving it, man. Me and Josh were talking off camera here about how they've done a special rerun of the Invincible comic, and one of the cool things that they got with the first issue was some extra stuff, and one of them was that sewing kit from God, what's his name?
Oh, Al. Oh shit,
Yeah,
I'm blanking on his last name, but
yeah.
Al.
They got
Yeah,
this little sewing kit, and so like them. I love when I fell in love with Walking Dead, and I started to try to find out kind of some of the other stuff that Kirkman was doing, and I came across this comic. I didn't start it from the beginning, but I started it a few years ago, and I mean it's really good. If you like original comic books, something that's not mainstream,
yes.
and but is still really good.
And like, not to spoil it, but something that doesn't always end up happy. Like, there's so many times where, like, I mean, that's what Kirkman does best, in my opinion. He
Yep.
fucking finds a way to make you love a character and then kills them
And then
off.
gut punches you, you
Yep.
know.
Um,
So like in my opinion, I know this is going to be kind of controversial because there is, Zack Snyder and everybody else, but
mhm.
Kirkman's one of the best in the business right now, and especially with original concepts, he is the best in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
And
you
he's
know,
got
so
quite a few things still like going right now. He's got I believe Oblivion Song is still going right now. He had a comic called Die Die Die, which I don't know if that one ended, to be honest with you. But he's got a few things going right now that are really good too. Yeah, he's all around fantastic writer, man. And it's crazy to think that he's been around for as long as he has. He still looks like
right.
he's so young, and yet, Invincible started in 2003. I'm not sure when Walking Dead started, but I mean,
Like right around the
right
same
around
time
the same
because
time, right? Yeah.
me and Josh talk about this all the time, but we both had a chance to get Walking Dead number 1
And
or
instead, we picked up
toe
lovely George
tags.
Romero
Well,
toe tags.
so backstory to this. I know it's a little bit off subject, but I'm just a gigantic George Romero fan, and
Hmm.
so is Josh. Josh is a George Romero
Oh
fan, but
yeah,
like dude,
OG
my
zombie.
my name my name in Spanish class in high school was Romero. So I'm a gigantic Romero fan, and when they announced that DC was going to be doing a comic book with him, I jumped on that and was like, who cares about this black and white zombie
Right? Who's
book?
this Robert Kirkman
Yeah,
guy?
who's
Who's
that? I
who's
got
this no
Romero.
name writer? I have no fucking clue.
It,
Right,
it,
right. But
it,
this is George Romero on the other
put it
hand.
to,
Fucking George
to
Romero.
to put in perspective. I remember vividly in one of the issues that the zombie army comes together and they have a leader, and their leader is like marching riding a dead elephant like to
Like a zombie
attack. Like
elephant.
it's so bad. It's so bad,
And
and and so like around the same time was Invincible, and it's like, oh,
Walking
yeah,
Dead.
yeah. Well, no, but
Oh, what you're saying
around the
in
same
Invincible. Gotcha.
yeah, around the same time, and I was like, oh, he just does black and white zombie comics. Who's this guy?
Well,
And so
and it was a no name superhero. Nobody knew who the fuck he
yeah,
was, nobody knew what was coming. And like, to put it in perspective though, that The Walking Dead #1 goes for, a good couple of $1,000s nowadays. Like,
uh,
minimum couple thousand
yeah,
dollars. We're
yeah,
talking like a graded 9.8 one. We're talking probably 20 grand.
yeah.
Um, toe
You want
tags, toe tags, which is the
to
George Romero comic that we got instead, goes for a whopping $4.
you want to know something funny? I'm gonna get that thing graded eventually, just to have it.
Just
Yeah,
because, yeah. Just
just to talk to my
honestly though,
grandkids.
like,
You know,
honestly, it would have been badass to get it signed before Romero died. It would have
right,
been badass to get it signed and graded by
right,
Romero, because then you'd be like, yeah, well, still, I got this fucking thing signed by Romero,
right.
so eat a dick.
Now, okay, so like you said, nobody knew Invincible and everything, right?
Yeah.
So, I back around that time I was collecting comics, and I stopped years ago. Had family, shit happens. So, but you know how you said, okay, nobody knows this character, nobody knows this writer and everything. Guess
Yep.
what I bought instead?
What?
You'll never know. The comic's name is Ant, and
Ant.
yeah, ANT. and it's another really obscure comic. I can't even remember who made it. I've got it downstairs. I gotta check it out. But like that's my so you know how we have toe tags with Walking Dead.
Walking Dead,
My
yeah.
Invincible is Ant. It is
Ant.
horrible. It is the
Fuck
dumbest thing
yeah.
ever.
Well,
But it
dude.
was issue one. I was like, oh, I've never heard of this. I want to read it. And
Well,
instead of
and
getting Invincible, I got Ant.
dude, I was, I would have been 16 when Invincible came out, and I was going through my, rebellious teenage phase. So the comics that I have from those days are like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and random shit that was not because I was back then I was like
Hey,
I'm too good for Marvel and DC.
hey,
Fuck those mainstream comics.
yeah,
Whereas
but
you were picking up the mainstream ones, which
right.
is a smarter idea than me than what I
Now,
had.
now, one thing that you have though during that time period that I don't have, which is, in my opinion, between the two of us, the best comic that either one of us has.
I don't know
What's your
what do I
issue one that
I'm
you
gonna
have
look at
that I don't think you've been graded?
I've
It's
got
right. I mean, it's behind you. That's a hint to the
Spawn.
right. Yeah,
This
issue
one?
one, Spawn. Well,
Yeah.
not that one, but that was the
No,
hint.
no, but I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
Spawn. Yeah. So, which dude? I'm gonna just real quick dabble into that. Holy shit, has Spawn taken off?
yeah.
Ever since issue 300, when McFarlane
Well,
broke the world record. I know, and he's been,
it's the HBO series. That's what.
well, but what I'm saying though is even so, a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, issue one you could find for $20 on eBay. $20 easily. And I mean, it'd be ungraded, but you could find one for. I actually got a extra one to get graded because mine, I knew if I sent it in to get graded, and it would be horrible because it was my personal copy that I opened and read 15,000 times. And so that one I personally have ungraded but signed by Todd because I needed to get it signed by Todd. I felt like that was the one that's like personal to me. Side note, when I met Todd and got him to sign that, I was just like, man, you're my inspiration. I would love to draw more. I would love to do more, but it's hard to get the motivation. And he straight was signing, stopped what he was doing, and was like, the hardest thing so what he said was, the hardest thing with getting this type of thing going is the repetition. He goes, you're gonna get bored. You're gonna not want to draw the same thing 50 times, but you just gotta stick to it. You just gotta stick with what you're doing. You just gotta put like I don't remember the exact words he said, but God, dude, it just
That's awesome.
I was so struck by the fact that Todd fucking McFarlane stopped signing my comic just to be like, yeah, so just keep at it, just keep pushing yourself, you'll get it. Um, and so but seriously, since issue 300 came out, there's been a new spark of interest in everything. They're talking about He's been talking about the new movie with Jamie Foxx being Spawn, which is eh,
Ugh.
but it's also still in development hell. But still, there's for some reason there's this huge outcry for Spawn all of a sudden. And so even that issue one, even just a standard issue one, instead of being $20, is now like 80 to $100. Um, but uh, but
That's
yeah,
my favorite comic from that
yeah, that
era.
was
Like
one.
that, either one of us have.
I'm a little bit out of video shot if you guys are watching, but like if you're listening, I'm still talking, but I'm trying to find my lovely Spawn issue one here. So, but yeah, okay. So the other thing that was actually kind of leading into the other thing I was wanting to talk about was the fact that um, comic book industry as a whole right now is. Here we go. Actually, real quick before we do that, if there's anybody watching the video, we got there's mine. That's my copy for when I was little. It's signed by Todd. Look, if you can't really see the signature, it is right there.
Is that your original copy?
That's my
Is that
original
the
copy.
nice,
And
nice,
so it's
dude.
not graded because I have a feeling that
Get a low grade,
it
but
doesn't look very good. So I randomly grabbed this one for, like I said, like 15, $20 off of somebody from eBay just to get it graded. I got 9.4, not quite the 9.8, but it was off of eBay.
still,
I'm not mad
yeah,
about it. And yeah, there he is. But because he was doing a crazy big signing, it says T McFarlane as opposed to
Todd.
Todd McFarlane, which
That's still awesome,
so on
man.
the back side of that is one of my favorite personals. Sorry, back. Ah, It would be a Walking Dead number 100, signed by Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman, because it's the Todd McFarlane variant cover.
So, okay, there's like, and I think I have a couple. I've got I think one variant of 100, but in my opinion, uh, it's 90, 97, 98, 99, and 100.
It was the
The original copies are the
Yeah,
best,
where it's
and
like
and so I
they're
have
interlinking copies or whatever, right? Like
yeah,
they
and they're like yellow with and black and with
yeah,
like a red tint. Like,
yep.
and I have 100, the original run 100, and dude, that's one of my prized possessions. It's not the most valuable thing I have. It's valuable.
It's
It could go up to like 3 grand,
I was about to say,
but
with the price of comics and what's going on right now, man,
all
I'd
right.
be willing to bet it did go up.
Oh, absolutely. Like a graded one, which mine's not graded, but if I get it graded, it's worth 3 to 5 grand.
Yeah,
But
hell yeah,
um, but that's not the most valuable one I have, but it's probably my favorite because of just how awesome the cover is. As
right.
cool as the McFarlane cover is, as cool as some of the other alternate covers are, that original cover is always going to be my favorite cover of any comic book I've ever read.
Dude,
That
I always
100
love, like, you've got that Avengers set too, where they link and say Avengers
yeah.
Legacy, and I always love comics that do the linking covers. I
Yeah.
always think that's super cool.
Yeah.
But that was yeah, so that was leading into my next topic real quick. I think I was going to talk about the fact that so COVID hit, um, and everything shut down basically except for essentials. And one of the biggest things getting hit was comic book stores. Comic book stores, even if they sold online, they just weren't getting the same love. They couldn't really release new stuff. They just weren't getting the money. So they had this little initiative. I want to say it was Kirkman, who Negan Lives, when he came out with Negan Lives, I believe he didn't charge stores for that. I believe he just gave that to stores to be like, hey, we need to get some interest back into the comic book stores and the comic book community.
That's
So
because
let's stop
Kirkman's
just
an
giving it to
amazing
you.
fucking human being.
Dude, he really is. Like it's him and
So is
Todd. Well,
Jim Lee and Zack Snyder. You see a lot of these comic book people are actually good people,
mhm.
minus Josh Whedon, but that's a different
Well,
story.
and well, and it's Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman. Todd McFarlane runs Image, and Kirkman runs Skybound for Image. Like it's Image Skybound. So it's those two running the fucking show on that end, man. Um, but yeah, so this he gave this comic book for free to get people more interested in coming back. They even had this little like logo that was like I don't have any comics with it on it, but it said our comeback will be greater than our setback or something like that. And it was meant to try to get interest back into the comic book community. And now we're talking a year later, and holy shit, like for some reason all these comic books, and not just specific ones, all these comic books are just insane
Skyrocketing.
price right now. They're blowing up. Department of Truth, which the fart goblin, Department of Truth, it's like it's already getting optioned for a show and possibly a movie, either or. So the issue one for that, it's only on issue 7, and issue one for that is going for $100 or around there. Granted, you can still find some for 20, $30, but it's like even that, it was a $4 comic. It's already up to $30. Um, it's crazy. It's amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely amazing to see that there's this much interest growing in the comic book community. On the other hand, though, for me personally, as a collector, it's making things a little bit more difficult, and just in the fact of there used to be 5 to 10 people waiting out in front of this comic, like one of our local comic shops. It's always got people waiting out in front beforehand, but there used to be five, maybe 10. Now there's 20 to 30 almost every week waiting out in front of the shop. It's like I said, it's incredible. It's
That's
amazing, but
that
it also kind of
that's
sucks
that's one of the
for
that
collectors.
that's one of the cool things about living in a shithole in the middle of the country,
Well,
that there ain't nobody at the
and dude, and
only
trust
comic
me.
carnival left. I know there's smaller, comic book stores here in town, but there ain't nobody there whenever I go.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like for the longest time, my town only had one comic shop. That's why there's always that many people out front before they open. Now there are a total of three shops in my city, my town, and so I found a I don't want to say lower end comic shop because they're a fantastic shop, but a maybe lesser known than the other one. So they've usually got my stuff, and I can usually count on them. Um, but yeah, it's just crazy the way that it's been blowing up lately. It's crazy the way that it's shot everything up in value. Like I was pointing out to you, and I'm not trying to. Nobody better come rob me or anything. But I had that Edge of Spider Verse #2, which was the first appearance of Spider Gwen. That thing used to be $800, and now it's like $1,700, just in a matter of a month or two.
Yeah.
Um, I can't help but think that's partially because of Edge of Spider Verse 2, though. Um, but it's still just crazy. It's just crazy to see. Yeah, I think that covers kind of all I was wanting to talk about today. Definitely, if you've not watched Invincible, check it out. If you've not read the comics, check it out. I cannot fucking stress that enough. Um, and then Matt, you were actually going to talk about the only other thing I was thinking about talking about, which is
Godzilla versus Kong.
yes,
So I'm a big movie buff, if you can't tell by now. You know, movies, video games, comics, all that stuff. But movies have always been my number one draw. I remember, Josh. I don't know if you remember this because it's been forever since you've been here, but there was a series of shops in like Columbus, Indiana, or it's like down south, where they have like a bunch of like Nordstrom Rack or
oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Nike,
Yeah, yeah,
like not the main stores, but like their off
they're
stores kind
like
of thing. But
off,
there's
not off brand, but like the.
right
I get what you mean. Yeah,
discount
yeah,
stores, whatever you want to call
yeah.
it.
There you go.
I remember vividly when I was a child, me and my mom, and I don't know if you were there, went to this series of stores, and that's when I was finally able to buy on VHS all of the Godzilla series. And I mean, I had every single one of them. I was all of about 10 years old. I mean, they were only like a couple bucks a piece. I fell in love with Godzilla when I was very young. I wasn't too much of a Kong fan, just never really got into Kong, but my favorite monster is still Rodan. And I love how they did him in King of the Monsters.
Well, and not to sorry, not to interrupt, but like Godzilla has so much more of a history.
Yeah.
Kong, you kind of had the original Kong, and then you kind of just had like the remake, and that was pretty much it for a while there.
Well, you had Kong. Well, 1960 was Kong versus Zilla.
The original God Kong versus Zilla, yeah.
Yeah, which, dude. So okay, so this is I'm jumping ahead, but just a little throwback. So, have you watched the original Kong versus Zilla?
No,
Okay, so
not
one
even
of
a
the
little bit.
cool, one of the really cool homages that not a lot of people noticed or not a lot of people are talking about when they're talking about the film. So in the original Kong versus Zilla, one of the best parts, one of the funniest parts, because it's all funny. Uh, Kong takes a tree and shoves it down Godzilla's mouth,
Oh shit!
and they have an homage to that when Kong in the new film takes his axe and shoves it into
Right,
Godzilla's mouth. Because
right.
like everybody's like, they better do this, they better do that. That's one of the funniest things. It's one of the best things, and they did it, and it's like
Yeah,
that's really cool. So okay, so here's my opinion on the new film. I still stand by. I believe that Zilla King of the Monsters is the best one in the series so far.
yeah.
Uh, it's my favorite one. It's got the most action. I'm one of those people that you're as Godzilla fans. There's kind of two different Godzilla fans. There's good story or good action, and I'm good action more than good story. I'd
Agreed.
rather have less humans and more fighting. Um, but that being said, I thought overall it did very well. I went back and watched it again this morning, and I'll say the human story is pretty cool. On the fact that they're talking about the Hollow Earth, which is ironically one of the things that Brian would probably talk about because it is a
Conspiracy
theory,
theory type thing.
conspiracy
Yeah.
theory that the Earth is hollow and that there are creatures, prehistoric creatures living in it and everything like that. It's one.
Elon
conspiracy
Musk
theory.
tweeted about it, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Donkey Kong lives in Hollow Earth.
And
So
he was all like, "Don't ask how there's a sun in the middle of the earth or whatever. Don't ask questions." But then it was funny because this Godzilla page was like, "Oh, it's basic quantum whatever," and I was like, "Oh my god,
physics.
okay, come on."
Yeah. But so the first fight I thought was really cool when they're fighting in sea because
When
that's
he's still all
Godzilla.
chained up, yeah,
That's Godzilla's best area to fight in. Like he's got his biggest advantage because he can go underwater. And Godzilla won that one. Then they fight on the mainland and in Hong Kong, and Kong wins that one. Uh, to begin with, he wins it when Godzilla charges his axe as he's coming
that
down.
freaking scene from the trailer where he's
Dude, that is so awesome.
yeah, pretty
And so
fucking
like that, he beat him, and then this is a problem that the only problem I have with the whole Kong thing. I feel like he couldn't stand up to him because even though he beat him, like 5 seconds later, Godzilla had him on the ground and had his foot on his chest. Like he
right.
beat him, legitimately beat him, and then but I like the Mecha Godzilla King Ghidorah kind of story. Like that's really cool because like why would they be building a Mecha Godzilla?
I think
Why would
I think my only complaint was that Mechagodzilla wasn't in it enough. Like I felt like he
so yeah, so that's the other issue I have is the final fight scene is really cool. I love it. I wish it would have been longer.
yeah,
I wish we would have had more Mecha Godzilla
for sure.
because he was so good, and having the whole King Ghidorah story part of it, I felt like made it more and connected the films better. But I'm interested in seeing how they go from here, what they do from here, since King Ghidorah's officially dead. Um, how they're going to bring him back, or are they going to have the alien race bring him back, or kind of where they're going to go with that. The one disappointing thing is I almost wonder if they're finishing the series because they in all of them they always have an in credit scene
Right.
like during the credit scene, or they have like flashes of news articles that give you information of what's coming up. They didn't have that. They had Kong go back to Hollow Earth, but they really didn't explore. They didn't give you any teaser kind of thing. So I don't know if they're going to keep going with the story or not. I almost feel like this is a King Kong Civil War movie. So like how you have Captain
Yeah.
America Civil War, where you follow Captain America mainly, and then you have Tony Stark have to fight this internal evil,
Mhm.
this bad guy that's in the background, i.e. Mecha Godzilla and Godzilla. But overall, I would say that it's definitely just, in my opinion, one notch below King of the Monsters because I'm diehard. Anything with throw Dan in it, I'm gonna love first. He's always been my favorite monster in that series. But the biggest thing is, like I said, is I wish they would have less of the human side, more fighting, more action, and more Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, no.
Um,
I mean, the only thing I love love Alexander Skarsgård.
yeah.
He is the tall blonde guy in the movie. The one who's like, which is super weird to me, is he's the like what I don't know how to say it. He's the like environmentalist, I guess. He's the
Yeah,
one who's like uh
he's Mother Earth lover. I mean, he's
yeah, which is a little off character for him in my opinion. In my opinion, the one person that I didn't really care for in the movie was Millie Bobby Brown. And
thank
I
you.
and I love
I
her as
love
an
her.
actress, but I felt like her part was entirely
In
unnecessary.
this movie, yes. In this movie, yes. In the second movie, it made perfect sense and all that.
Right. And
And
and I get that
dude,
it's an idea of kind of continuing like of kind of I don't know, I get
but
it, but
you've
I just
got
so
you've
sorry.
got you've got Apex. Where the hell is Tyrion? God damn it! His character was
Right?
so badass in the last one. He's like, you want to do it or not? You know,
Right.
he was very straightforward. He wanted to reset humankind, reset the earth. You know,
And
where the fuck is he at? And they had the great cut scene at the end where they
yeah.
gave you King Ghidorah. How the fuck does he not get into this movie when he was a huge part of the last one?
And I mean,
How
I'm
does
sure
that
it's all
head get to
scheduling or they couldn't afford him or something. I'm sure it was something studio wise, but
but they
still,
can
it's
give
just
you
like
Millie Bobby Brown who has no
right.
part of this
And
fucking story
that's
anymore.
my biggest complaint. Like I have nothing
I
against
love her as
her.
an
She's a
actor. Yeah.
fantastic actress. She's
Yeah.
amazing as 11. She's great, and I don't remember what else she's been in right now. But yeah, she just felt unnecessary.
She
She
was
felt
really good in the Sherlock Holmes Netflix
yes,
Sherlock Holmes movie.
yes,
What was that?
Enola
Yeah.
Holmes.
Yeah.
That was a
That movie I
surprisingly good movie.
under highly underrated movie if you
Yes.
got a chance to
Well,
check
you
it out.
got fucking Superman as Sherlock Holmes, dude.
Yeah.
You got Henry fucking Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. Come on. Sorry.
Yeah.
That movie was highly underrated. Yes, highly
Yes.
underrated. Another one, if you guys, if listeners, if you have not checked that out, Netflix, Enola Holmes, Enola. It's alone spelled backwards.
Now
Um,
the only other thing I was going to actually talk about was so Walking Dead just finished
I read
season
about it. Didn't
10.
watch it. Season 10. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the
11's gonna
last
be the
episode of
final
season.
season, isn't it?
Yes. So now, okay. So you're going to be on one side of the fence or not. Okay. So either you loved the last episode or you absolutely hated it,
Because it
and
was all
I
about Negan, wasn't
absolutely,
it?
I so it's Negan Lives. That's the name
Right.
of the episode. Um, I absolutely loved it. I think that the way that they did it, in my opinion, and this is going to be crazy, is better than how they did it in the comic.
Yeah.
Um, I feel because it's a combination of Negan Lives and his. I mean, can I
Oh,
talk
okay.
about it?
No, I
Okay,
don't care.
so in the comic, anybody who read the comic knows that he loses Lucille in a fight with Beta. Beta, he's beating the shit out of Beta, and he's actually saving Rick and with Lucille, and Lucille breaks, and it just kills him. Like he just drops to his knees and is like dead inside. Um, and in the show, he actually burns Lucille. So
Oh
like
shit.
to let her go. So
So it's
he's
him letting her go as opposed to him losing her.
yes, and he's dealing with a lot of, and I actually want once again, a lot of people didn't like. They feel like when Negan came, the show ended. No, the show ended when they killed Carl. Like
Yeah.
if Carl was still alive, Negan you would still have Andrew Lincoln because Andrew Lincoln wouldn't have left, and I
Well,
feel like the Negan would make more sense on why he's alive because their interactions together, he became like a second father to Carl.
dude, well, and not to spoil it, and I know the show is going to go drastically different than this, but the way the comic book ended with Carl, like I'm going to spoil
Right.
that Carl makes it to the end. So that's yeah, it's really going to impact the ending. I'm not sure. I'm sure they're going to end it drastically different than they would the comic, but or than they did the
I
comic.
got a I got a I got a crazy theory on that. But so and he's dealing, but Negan is dealing with uh, where he is in this community and
Okay.
the fact that Maggie is back, and so like he kind of gets sent off. They're like, you're being exiled, just stay away, and he ends up dealing with what happened to his wife and how he lost his wife, and he ends up finding Lucille, and he debates on going back as Negan or is he this new person,
Hmm.
and he decides he's this new person. He burns Lucille and lets her go, and then comes back, and that's where it ends, where you have Maggie who and oh my gosh, the short haired girl. I'm oh my gosh, I'm drawing a freaking blank in the
Carol.
Walking Carol. There we go. I mean, she doesn't have short hair now, but Carol tells Negan, by coming back, she's going to kill you. And Negan kind of gives her a smile and says, "Oh, I know." So it just kind of walks in, and him and uh, blah, blah, blah.
The guy who he fights or whatever, or
No, Glenn's wife. I'm talking about her,
Lauren. Oh, Maggie. Sorry,
Maggie.
Lauren Cohen.
Uh,
Maggie.
him and Maggie have this moment of like a stare down kind of thing. It's just really intense. So it leads to what I think is going to happen. So obviously,
It's Thomas and Martha Wayne right there.
yeah, it's either going to go. I think they're going to end up having Ju- uh, Judy Grimes. Judith, yeah, Judith Grimes. I think they're gonna have Judith Grimes get with what's his name's son. Gosh dang it, I'm having brain farts on names today.
Uh,
Maggie's son. Maggie and
Carl. Wait, Carl's dead. No.
no, Maggie and he's dead too. The one that Negan killed.
Oh shit.
Glenn.
Glenn.
Maggie and Glenn's son. I think they're
Okay.
going to end up having him get with Judith Grimes. They're going to have a kid together, and it's going to do that jump forward.
Ooh. Give me just a quick sec here. Having some audio issues on Matt's end, so just one sec here, guys. Good.
So I think they're going to have Judith Grimes get with Glenn's son,
Right.
and I think they're going to have a child together, and that's going to be the end of the show. Is going to be kind of a mirror of the end of the comic, but with different characters. You're going to have
Right.
Glenn's
Okay.
son with Judith Grimes having a
Okay.
child together, and Glenn's son on the rocker telling the story of Glenn, telling the story of Rick, telling the story of Negan. And I think you
Mm.
still have Maggie become president of the Commonwealth. That story, I think, could still be there. But I think that the best way to end it now that Carl's gone would be to have Glenn's son and Rick's daughter come together and make a kid, and then they can tell the story of Michonne, who's now gone. They can tell the story of Rick. They can tell the story of Glenn.
Still, though, it's a shitty thing. The whole thing with Carl was shitty in the first place because I mean, it was all again
That's where it fucked up.
studio
That's
bullshit. So,
well, yeah, they picked, and that's the thing is that the guy I always forget his name. The guy who plays Carl,
yeah, I don't
he
remember his name
he
either.
didn't he didn't want to leave. The studio picked that,
And
and
and shortly after he started talking shit about the studio, right? He was like all mad about it and stuff. I
well,
think.
and look at it though. What in my in we could disagree on this, but in my opinion, that's what killed the show, and that's what killed the comic. I
Right.
think that gave Kirkman an out to finally end the series because he's
Right.
always said he doesn't want it just to keep going and fall off.
Right.
So having Carl die in the show, he wanted to go, okay, I can end everything now in the comic
Right.
because Carl's now dead in the show, and I can show you how I wanted it to end on
Right.
the show.
Mhm.
And I think that was really cool, how it ended in the comic. I'm hoping that they do the Glenn's son, even if it's not with Judith, it's going to be either Judith Grimes or Glenn's son that's going to be in the rocking chair, telling his son or daughter about the story of Rick, the story of Glenn, the story of Michonne. Um, and
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
and
cool.
that's
That'd be cool.
one of the biggest things that sucks that about losing these characters because Rick's still alive. The thing that sucks the most for me, man, is if they can't get uh Denobi, I always can't say her name, but Michonne,
Mhm.
um, if they can't get her to come back, that's the best story arc that's still left that hasn't been told.
And
Where
so, are they still playing in the movies? Weren't there movies with Rick coming back or something? Like,
yes, there's 3 movies with
okay,
Rick, and supposedly he's going to make an appearance in the World Beyond universe.
okay,
But
Michonne
the
coming back,
frustrating
right?
thing is, well, the frustrating thing is that she probably will appear in the show. I don't know how they're going to make it, how it's going to happen. But in the comic book, the biggest thing that happens in the Commonwealth outside of all the things with Rick, but the best thing in my opinion is Michonne finds out that her daughter is still alive and that she's been living in this Commonwealth, that she
Mm,
survived the attack on their little town that they had before you meet Michonne, and that she's been
okay,
living in the Commonwealth, and it makes Michonne gives up Michonne, and she becomes a judge. She goes back to being a lawyer. She goes back to being human. She gets all of this back from finding her daughter, and
right.
that's my favorite thing that happens in the Commonwealth. And
Oh
you're
yeah,
not gonna. unless they can make the movies real quick, which they
Right.
obviously can't before they finish the series. You're not going to see
Right.
that. That's what's going to suck. Is that's my
Right.
favorite part of the Commonwealth. So, but I still think that the show, the season 11, ended on a good note.
Season
Um,
10 ended. Season
season 10,
11 is going to be
sorry.
the final season next season.
Yeah. So season 10, I think the six extra episodes, they were okay, but the last episode was my favorite of of the final six episodes. You've got some good
Well,
stuff on some of the other episodes.
there was a rumor that they were going to test that they're trying to test that as a spin-off series, but I
They're
okay.
going to try to. Well, they're going to try. They're spinning off Daryl and Carol. Daryl
Okay.
and Carol are getting their own spinoff, and there was some Daryl and Carol stuff in the previous six episodes. They're getting a spinoff, but I don't. I mean, they're not. I would love to see a Negan spinoff because they're
See,
going to do.
I would and wouldn't like honestly, I would like it if it was like a one season mini series kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is why I think they could do it. So there's another like seven. No, it's like a 10-year time jump or something like that between when Rick dies in the comic in the Commonwealth and to the
Spoiler.
last issue. Well, to the last issue, there's like another. That's like another 10-year time jump. So like, and Negan's still alive in the comics at the end of it because Carl goes and delivers food to his house, and even though he won't show his face to Carl, but he's still alive. So like you could do a mini series of what happens between the time jump of after everything happens in the Commonwealth and the very last episode. You can have that 10 years be a short series about Negan.
Yeah.
My thing is my here. Okay, so the reason why I want it so bad is that man, I hate the Walking Dead TV show fans so fucking much because the reason why is because they don't like um what's his name as Negan.
Jeffrey
uh
Dean?
yes,
They
there
don't
are
like him?
no,
The
and that
fuck?
right, and that's my
To
thing is
talk
that
like an almost perfect casting. Like, I mean,
thank
I
you.
don't know that there would be I don't know. I mean, there's perfect castings out there. Robert Downey's Iron Man, whatever. But dude,
He's perfect as
yeah,
Negan, and I
I'm
mean
sorry. The moment they
anybody.
announced that, I was not watching the show for
Yeah,
like a couple years, and the moment they announced that, I was like, "Fuck, I have to see this. I have to
yeah.
see him come in as Negan. I have to."
Well, remember where we really fell in love with him, me and you, was in Supernatural as Daddy Winchester,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so
And then the comedian in Watchmen.
yeah, he did it so well too. I don't care. Say what you will about some of the slow episodes or the drawn outness, whatever. But he did so well as Negan. He does so well as Negan. That's why I have a huge problem with the TV show fans. They were so pissed about Glenn dying, and
Oh,
I'm never gonna fucking
read the
Jeffrey.
comic.
Right. So it's like, dude, like that's why I knew
I
that
thought it was kind of cool that they went with Abraham first, because then everybody
to
was like, "Oh shit!" And then he's still just like, "Yeah, well, fuck you too."
well, so my okay, so like my whole thing with that is that I actually um I wish they hadn't have done Abraham. I wish they had done Abraham the way they had
Right,
done comic because it would have
right,
been so badass.
right.
So because the doctor lady who gets shot through the arrow by Dwight, that's actually how Abraham dies in the comic.
Oh
And
shit. Okay.
so, yeah, it would have been gnarly seeing big badass Abraham just standing there for 1 second and then boop.
Hmm.
But it was still really cool how he went out. He went out really hard, and they threw the curveball.
Yeah.
But like I knew when they made the announcement that
Jeffrey Dean.
Negan was coming,
Yeah.
that it was either going to piss off the comic book fans or it was going to piss off the show fans. And
Right.
I knew I I I knew that if they pissed off the comic book fans, they probably would have kept their fan base for the show. But I was so happy that they pissed off the show fans
Show
because
fans. Yeah.
that's life. That's Kirkman's world. That's
Hmm.
how he built it.
Not
It's
always a
built
happy
around
ending. Yep.
no, it's
Yep.
built around in the real world. the good guy doesn't always win, you know.
Exactly. That's
And
why, and that's
and
what I love about Invincible. It's not always the happy-go-lucky superhero story, you
dude,
know?
think about
Love it.
think about the first time that I don't know how much you've read on the comics, but think about the first time that Rick meets the governor. Within a few frames, the governor cuts his fucking hand off. I mean it's just brutal. The governor within a few frames rapes the shit out of Michonne. Like I mean like and that's the thing. It's like any of these TV now he also did really good as the governor. I felt both Negan and the governor and fucking Beta. I loved all three of those
Mhm.
castings. Like fucking the governor was amazing. Jeffrey Dean as
Definitely. Yeah.
Negan, and then you've got oh my god, Ryan Hurst as Beta. I thought all three of those were fucking perfect.
Mhm. Ezekiel
And
was done well too, I think. I think
Ezekiel,
I just
but
like
I'm
him as
pissed.
the actor. I mean, as an actor in general.
Oh well, I'm still pissed off about the Pike death. So,
Oh, right, right, right.
dude,
Um,
you're freezing. Am I freezing?
yeah, your audio is still coming through, so we're gonna
Okay.
keep it going.
Okay. So, and I don't know if anybody listening knows about the Pike's death, but in the Pike death, like I felt like they killed a bunch of random characters, and oh my god, it's her losing her son. Come on, dude. It's no. It's about losing fucking Ezekiel and having the fucking kingdom go down.
Right.
And but I digress. Anyways, I feel like Andrew Lincoln was the perfect choice for Rick.
He
Um,
was.
I feel like Shane. What's his name? Is Shane? Oh my god, that was a perfect pick.
Yeah.
And he's so badass as the Punisher. Side note, but I get upset at the Walking Dead TV show fans who just don't want to watch the show anymore, don't want to get into the show
John
anymore.
Berthal. Sorry.
Yeah, John Barenthal. Um, they don't want to get into the show or they left the show all because of Negan. When,
Right.
dude, no, you left because Glenn died. You left
Right.
because Glenn died. You know, when really the show was still fine up until a season and a half later when they decided to fucking kill Carl. And I mean, by killing Carl, you gave Andrew Lincoln an out. Why the hell does my character
Right.
need to stay?
Right.
You know, and you gave Kirkman an okay to go ahead and end the series too.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's what I've got today. So
Yeah.
you know, King Kong versus Zilla, amazing
Yeah.
show. You need to
It
check
was
it out.
definitely good.
Walking Dead ended on a really good note. I love Negan.
Mhm.
Negan lives. So
Um,
that's what I got.
all right. So one thing I do want to point out, I just want to say thank you because our last episode of the podcast where we talked about the Snyderverse and Justice League, that was all we talked about was Snyder's Justice League has become our most downloaded episode and our most listened to episode. So I really just want to say thank you to everybody who's listening, everybody who's given us a shot. We've also found out that me and Matt talked about this that we have people apparently all over the world. Maybe not all over the world. Let's just say in other countries. Majority of people are here in U.S., which is where we record. If you are listening somewhere else, but we've got people from all over. So I want to say our second number two spot is in Norwood, Ohio. So whoever's listening from Ohio, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We got Illinois, Florida. The big one that we were talking about though is England. We actually have a couple downloads in England, which is just crazy. That's just nuts to me that we're starting to get some more traction. So I really appreciate anybody who's listening. And this was
Hey,
to go back to your real quick to go back to your Walking Dead. You don't really like the show fans because they're much whining little bitches because characters got messed up. I'm so I hate the fact that if I try to defend Justice League to somebody, their response is, "Oh, you're just a Snyder fan. You just up Snyder's ass. You're just a
it's
big
just a
Snyder
longer
fan.
version of the
You just like
original.
you just like Snyder." Like I fuck that. Okay, it was a fantastic movie, and it took the
Monumental.
original one and improved on literally every level. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get all mad about that. I
No,
just
it
don't.
would have
I
changed the MCU. It would have
I just
changed the
don't like
MCU.
that. I just don't like that. I like if you like it, you get labeled as a Snyder, like you're up Snyder's ass, and it's like I'm
So
sorry, he did good Fuck you.
let me let me throw a little piece in there. I feel like it would have changed the MCU. Do you
Yeah.
think they would have done the Ant-Man time travel once they did the Flash time travel back on the original Justice League?
Hmm.
I think that they wouldn't have, or I really
Or at least
don't.
it would have changed the way they did
Because
it.
because
Or
I
yeah,
feel like they would have. I feel like in my personal opinion, I feel like Marvel would have sat there and said, "Dude, there's going to be too many people that go DC did it first. Fuck you
yeah,
guys." Blah blah
yeah.
blah. Who knows? But dude, it was a monumental feat in movie, comic book, in history because the fans got this done. The fans got
Yes.
this done. And it's
Yes.
not just a longer version of the original. All you guys that are hating on it can eat my fat fucking ass. I
Well,
I'm I'm
I
the
mean, a
trolls
difference of
that
opinion is a difference of opinion. Just don't
right.
sit here and say that I'm an asshole because I enjoyed the fucking movie. Like, I
Well,
enjoyed the fucking movie.
I'm not one of those nice people like you. They can eat my fucking ass for sitting there saying, "Oh, it's just a longer version." You can go fuck
No,
yourself.
dude, it
I
is
I hate getting. I'm not trying
grossly,
to
just
cuss a lot,
entirely different.
but
It's crazy how different it is. And
yeah,
I don't
if
want to
you
go off on that all again, but
yeah.
like it's
Yep.
just insane how different it is.
Oh,
Anyway,
and going off on our fan base right now. Hey, all you guys, I think that if you want to hear something funny, I think that you should email our email. Let's put some votes out there. If we get at least 5 people that email our email wanting to do a Roman wipes
oh
commercial,
my God.
I've been pushing Josh. So side
We're
note.
looking into
So
sponsorship right now,
and
and there's
I've
a
been
possibility
pushing.
of getting somebody to sponsor us so we can make this a little more lucrative.
Well, yeah, but I've been trying to push Josh to. I've told him about this guy that does these Roman wipes commercials, and they're so stupid, and what they do are so
They're
funny. If you
they're,
don't know about it,
they're dick
go
wipes.
go Google them. And so Josh is like, I'm not gonna do that. If we can get 5 people, I'm just saying
We get
five
five people, yeah, I'll
five
take it.
people to email Josh, email our the Cow's Den. Just
It's
go ahead and say
actually
the
so it's actually the cows in the den at gmail.com. It's all one
e-
word. The cows in the den. But
email
I could
that
for some
email.
reason I couldn't come up with the cows den. It wouldn't let me have it. So the cows in the den at gmail.com.
So email that email. If we get 5 of you, we're gonna get Josh
We're
to do
gonna
a commercial for him.
I'm gonna try to get these dick wipes to sponsor us.
Get them dick wipes.
Dude, well, it's like at the current moment, if there's anybody who is still listening, we are we're currently paying for this out of pocket, which I don't mind doing. That's never a problem. It's just it wouldn't be bad to start getting some
Well,
sponsorship.
and we're not trying to make we don't have any blind intuition that we're not trying to become millionaires or anything,
Of
but
course
just
not.
to cover some of the overhead
Uh,
on the cost of this stuff.
exactly.
I talked to Josh before this. I'm still trying to get a computer, which I'm going
Right.
through
That's what I mean.
Robinhood.
We're running off of basically nothing. So when we're
Yeah.
paying for it,
So
which is fine. It's fine.
right, but if we can get a sponsorship, even
Yeah.
dick wipes,
Even what Roman dick
Roman
wipes.
wipes, Roman dick wipes.
Um,
So even if we can get them, that's what the joke is about. Where even if we can get them just to cover how much we pay to record this,
well,
that would be
in
perfect. And it's
the
like
other thing too is
$50 a month or
like
whatever.
like you said, if 5 people send that email, I will be more than happy to do it. If also too, we are tossing around the idea of possibly making some stickers. I mean, we're not going big with the merchandise or anything like that, but just possibly making some stickers. So if anybody would be interested in something like that too, feel free to hit up that email. Again, it's thecowsintheden.com or at gmail.com. But it's also the Cows Den website has the link to the email. That's just thecowsden.com. It's still kind of my personal blog site because I don't really do a whole lot with the podcast through. That's kind of my personal blog site, but it's got the email that you can contact me. And yeah, we'll get that going, man. I don't care. I'll talk
Well,
dick wipes all day if I have to. If it
well, and
means we can get something
hopefully,
going.
hopefully in a few weeks to a month, I'll be able to finally get my computer. Hopefully, and I'm going to set up the YouTube page and try to get the YouTube side of it going too.
Yeah.
So, but
So if you
yeah,
catch the
definitely.
video, I know we talk about how I've got like some of these comics and that, this and that, but I prefer not to sell that to fund our podcast. So you can always donate too if you want to.
Let's just
That's
go for the
no,
dick
that's a
wipes.
shame. That's a shameless plug there. But no, if you seriously, if you want us to do this, if anybody, 5 people, email that an email, tell us to reduce these dick
We'll do
wipes.
a dick. We'll get a dick wipe commercial going. How are you
Uh,
and your lady doing?
would you like to be doing
Are you,
better?
are you Batman and she's your Wonder Woman?
Oh my god.
You
All
want to give her a piece of kryptonite?
right, I
I can
think
already see the commercial going,
I
buddy.
think before that gets any crazier, we're gonna go ahead and call it quits for the day. Thank you guys so much for listening,
Thank you
and
so
thank you
much
to
for
all the
tuning in.
new listeners. Like I said, I really appreciate the last episode we did with the Snyderverse is our highest downloaded episode. So thank you guys so much for that.
Yeah.
And if you ever have any questions, suggestions, anything, send it to that email. We can always I'm always happy to take suggestions. Anything you want us to talk about, anything, just anything. Feel free to email me. I'm usually the one who takes that email. So with that, you guys take it easy. Have a great life. Trying to wrap up. All right, guys. Later.
Later.